You know, one of the more difficult parts about doing what I do is to try to keep from yelling at people for not really going over the issues which I think are the most important. It's, I'll give you an example. There was a story that came up that nobody seems to get. Now, I know that sounds kind of rather highfalutin, like, who do you think you are? Saying that we don't get it. You always say that we don't get it. Yeah. Why? Because you don't get it. And I don't mean you. Let me just stop right there. Not you. Them. They don't get it. They don't get it. You see what I'm saying? They don't understand it. And it's becoming a real problem because people will talk about things. I mean, they're still talking about Tucker and repeating the same thing over and over again without any desire on their part to really get to the bottom of what it is precisely that they're talking about. We're not going to talk about Tucker. We're going to talk about this incredibly fascinating story. This is from the Wall Street Journal, and it says, Epstein's private... By the way, trigger warning, I will never, ever deliberately or I think excessively delve into areas that are unnecessarily brutal for reasons that, well, a lot of people have endured horrible behaviors and instances, and this seeks to remind them of it. So I'm just warning you, and I'm just saying this ahead of time. This is my goal. So just want to tell you that viewer discretion, children, you might want to maybe go elsewhere. So I'm going to try to speak circuitously. I'm doing videos on my private channel at Lionel Media, really into detail. And again, not gratuitously, not into the actual act, but what it means. Anyway, the headline says, Epstein's private calendar reveals prominent names, including CIA chief, Goldman's top lawyer. There's a picture of Jeffrey Epstein with Ariane de Rothschild, William Burns, Joshua Cooper Ramo, Noam Chomsky, Catherine Remler. And here's what happens. The story is mentioned. Somebody will reference Jeffrey Epstein, and it goes nowhere. It goes nowhere. We don't. What does this mean? You have talked forever about this thing called the Black Book. What about his now famous Black Book? And I have said, what about the Black Book? What is it that you think is interesting? Tell me. What is it? What about it? Well, the names. What about the names? He has met everybody in the world. He knows or knew everybody's phone number. What are you talking about? Well, you know, and people again, because they repeat the same little hashtag, they will say, well, the Black Book. What about the Black Book? What about it? Nobody will tell you what this even means. Anyway, so here's the point that is critical to understand this. Number one, there should be at no point ever a Black Book. And if there is a Black Book, someone should be able to say, I have never, ever been on any private island or plane or what have you. Never have. Why is that? Because I only knew him professionally. Because he was very important and very, very critical in providing information to or donating to colleges and universities. And I know him. Here in New York, I saw him, I know one time in particular, right across from Bergdorf Goodman, that's in the news a lot today. He was standing there with that, that oversized, he wore like the same clothes over and over, this oversized kind of a parka jacket type of thing. In any event, I remember seeing him there. Okay. That's not the issue. That's not the issue. What the issue is what this appears to be to everybody who has two brain cells to rub together is this is a honey trap. This is an extortion operation. And the real question that nobody wants to ask is where are the troves of audio, video, pictures, all of the data? Who has that? Where is that? Now, number one, we must go on the premise, and this is important. We must go on the premise, we must use the premise that, and by the way, we'll get to the democratic collapse of the subject matter, but I think this is critical. I want you to understand and we're going to be talking about this a lot. First of all, we are not in any way involved in the goings-on of, let me see something. I change this a little bit. It changes to the Epstein implications and dangers to the ruling class. That's really what we're talking about here. So the first thing you have to understand is that when you work for FBI, CIA, ISI, IDF, Amman, Mossad, MI5, MI6, whatever it is, and you go into private practice, private security consultants and the like, what do you have? What is it that you have? What do you have available? Well, first of all, you have intel that you knew before, but you also have access to people. And one of the things you would have is this. And let's assume you are on the palace detail, you work for the Queen, and you are protecting or looking after Prince Andrew. The first thing you would do is you would have somebody along the area of I guess you'd call it protocol to say, Your Majesty, whatever the heck your name is, you cannot be seen or visit Mr. Epstein's properties with either Ghislaine Maxwell, him, or anybody else. We know, as a matter of fact, we know this. Why? Because we're intel. We know this. We knew all that was happening in Florida. We know what's going on here. And it doesn't really matter how we know, but we're telling you, if you ever appear at any time with him, remember, you are being recorded. You are being recorded. Understand this. John Gotti had, in a phone booth that is reported at the Ravenite, the social club, a sign that said they're listening, or the feds are listening, or whatever. And it was true. But really not there, but upstairs. Anyway, but the point is that's what he did. And they know this. They know the names. They know everything. They know this. So question number one is, why did anyone ever allow Prince Andrew, as an example, especially when you're not really saying, Prince, you don't have diplomatic immunity. The Queen does. You don't. You're just the son of a whatever. You've got the exchequer duke of whatever. It doesn't matter. If you are charged with something here, you have no ability, and we are not going to do anything super special to protect you because you have a tendency, a predisposition to acting like that. Remember, Randy Andy, Koo Stark. This is from the beginning, and the same thing goes for that Fergie. That's number one. So why he was there, I have no idea. Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, whoever, they've got their own planes. Now let me say something again to try to make this as respectable as possible. If you have any demented predispositions, proclivities, propinquities, you can have those addressed in a variety of different ways that do not involve being recorded in a plane by a person that we know one of these days, tragedy most probably will befall him. That's number one. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I will never understand it. How did you let him do that? Number two, let me explain my own question. Let me tell you, and this is something I have seen. I have seen this my entire life, and I know this as a matter of fact. When you are involved in a world that's of make-believe, living in a world of make-believe, Angie, baby. And thank you, by the way. Thank you for appreciating my musical talents. It's a combination of Ethel Merman and Bert Lahr together. In any event, let us now ask the question, and this is important. Why do they do this? Let me explain this to you. When you are a star, when you are a I'll never forget this. On a lower level, I happen to know, I'm not going to mention his name, but there was a friend of mine. We used to bounce around years ago. And you would know his name, I guarantee you. And we were someplace. We were at a bar. And he said, come on. He said, let's go. I said, wait a minute, let's settle up. No, let's go. I said, no, there's a tab. He goes, no. I said, what are you talking about? He said, don't you understand? I'm here, and you're with me, and they get to take, they took some pictures. You saw this, right? Yeah. So they're going to tell people, they're going to put it in page 6, and they'll make their money. I said, well, wait. The bartender is not going to be, no. So anyway, I said, forget that, because I'm coming back, and I don't want, this is the mentality. This is the mentality. You should see the number of people who just don't give stuff back. They live in a world of make-believe. No, they live in this entitled, where they're invincible. They're invisible. They're special. You've got to worry about it. It's Leona Helmsley. Little people pay taxes. I'm Leona Helmsley. I don't worry about that. You don't understand how this thing works. I'm Leona Helmsley. I don't worry about this. You dig? I'm Leona Helmsley. You don't understand how this thing works. Okay? That's precisely what happens. Precisely. So they go to these things and I'm going to also say something right now. I cannot, nor will I, ever tell you what I have heard. And I know, well, I wasn't there, but I know what people have told me. I can't even tell you. I can't tell you. They live in a, you and I are like, I'm thinking, hey, what if somebody sees me? I'm so-and-so. No, you're invisible. They're not going to tell you what they want because you're Rockery Hudpack. Remember on the Flintstones? Let me tell you a side issue. Got a friend of mine. You're going to love this. He was in the restaurant business. And he told me this. He says, do you know what I saw? Again, he's not one to embellish. And when people tell you stories, they tell you things in terms of, it was the week before the Super Bowl. Remember it rained that day? Well, anyway, they came in, and so-and-so, who's a part owner of such and such, came in, and he had hurt himself. And when you start hearing all this stuff, you know it's legit. The story is too specific. Again, your hair would curl or straighten depending upon, kind of like Meghan Markle. Anyway. So he told me, he says, do you know where the weirdest places I've ever seen? The weirdest? I said, okay, where? He said, in the kitchens of restaurants. He says, something happens to people. He's seen drug transactions or money or people or things, activities, it's as though they think that the staff, they don't speak English, or they don't exist. It's like people who have live-in help. I've never understood this. I've known a few people who actually live in. I would never have that under any circumstance. I don't want nobody living there. They know everything. Oh, they don't care because they were raised like that. No, you don't understand it. This guy has a live-in help. This guy has. True story. Years ago, there was a fellow he's no longer here, but he had this. First time I ever saw this. This was a couple. And Chinese couple, cooked and cleaned, and I swear to God, he would just come out of nowhere. Say, where did you? There's nothing behind me but a wall. How did you come up behind? Anyway, and after a while, you kind of forget they're there. They don't say anything. They're gone. So I know what I'm talking about. They don't think anybody's watching. Plus, they think they're beyond that. They're not going to turn me in. What? Well, they have an NDA. An NDA? What is that going to do? Non-disclosure agreement? No. Well, I'll sue them. So what? Not after they've sold this stuff. After they told the information. They live at your house. They're going through. They know every argument. No. But to these people, they're used to it. You've lived like this. To live at that level, you I don't know about you. I couldn't do it. My privacy means I can't do that. I can't work with all these people around me. I just can't. So understand, that's number one. They feel invisible. Nothing. I don't have to worry about anything. You ever hear people who go into stores and they steal, and the next thing you know, they used to have it in the big studio heads. He'd call up the owner of the store and say, was so-and-so in there? Yeah, how much did she steal? Look, you have a problem. Don't call the police. Just call me. She likes to, steal. So just call me. Okay? All right. Just call me. The next question. Okay, so we know why they do this. They obviously were not, they were told specifically, you know who this person is. But then again, they're going to say, you don't understand this. He's a freak. This guy's a freak. This big tech guy is a freak. This ex-senator, congressman, president, whatever is a freak. He's a freak. I'm surrounded by freaks. This is my world. I live in a world of freaks. What do you want me to do? Okay, all right, fine. Where's the information? Where is it? Who's got it? First question I would ask. Who was his lawyer? Why? Well, because when you're lawyers, you have things like estate. You got stuff. You may have information yourself that might be provided to you in the course of your legal representation. There's the attorney-client privilege until it is alleged that these videos have illegal activities. Behaviors, perhaps of minors, that are verboten. Now, you're in possession of this? Does the crowd crime? Crowd crime. How about fraud crime? You can call me that. Your Honor, the crowd crime exception. The fraud crime. Attorney-client privilege does not apply if you are involved in some kind of a fraud or crime that you are perpetrating with your client. But where is this? Where is it? Everybody's testified. Where is it? Who were his lawyers? I know Dershowitz represented him for a certain amount of cases. I know he had something that was resolved. I know David Boies. I didn't even know what happened with all of these cross claims and counter claims and this and libel and this and you said this. Who knows? Because they just go away. It all just kind of goes away, is forgotten. But that's the question I have. Because where is it? Who's got this? I can't say this enough. J. Edgar Hoover had information on everybody. You know the story about what Hoover did. Hoover was, oh my God. Hoover would go to you, theoretically saying, now listen, I want you to know something. You know that little event you're having, that little escapade with that, whatever, it's not going to get any further. We got a hold of it, don't worry. What? You know about that? Oh, yeah, but don't worry. We're friends, okay? You're my friend? Absolutely. And I'm not supposed to worry? Don't worry about it. Okay. Don't worry? Don't worry. All right. I won't worry. I'm kind of worried, but I say, all right, I won't worry. All right, fair enough. And that's the way that works. Oh, it's beautiful. I mean, seriously, it defies any kind. It's perfect. And it makes the world go round. How much is out there? Then again, do you know what the response could also be? You've got me, so what? My life is one tawdry exhibit after another. What do you have? The umpteenth? Terrific. Knock yourself out. Not only that, and here's a new little trick. What do you have there? We got videos. Videos, huh? Yeah. How do I know those are real? Did you ever hear deep fakes? Oh, no. No, those are for... Have them analyzed. Go ahead. You have your guy analyze it. I'll have my guy analyze it. That's not me. That's AI. See how AI can help you? Nothing's authentic. I mentioned something the other day, and Mrs. L and I were talking. I said, this is the end of authentication. With artificial intelligence, by the way, it's a good idea, they say, don't leave answering messages on your phone. Hi, I'm not here right now. Well, we know that. But your call is very important. Don't say that anymore. That's very 80s. So after the tone, we know how to do it. Why do you leave any name at all? Because if I call up, and I've got some really good AI AGI program, I call up your phone, I get 3 seconds of your voice, and next thing you know, I've got you. And if you're a minor, I may have you one day call your parents and say that you need that social security number for this job you're getting, this new job. And you wonder, do you happen to have that? Mom, Dad, do you happen to have that social security number? Sure, honey, hang on, thanks. I know the routine. Remember when AI does 4 things. Number 1, if it can write its own code, this is the most important thing. When it can involve itself in recursive self-improvement, it knows human psychology, it has access to all of the data in the world through the internet, and it can write its own API or apps, it's done. So, a lot of people aren't leaving their voices. But your voice is everywhere. Biometrics are everywhere. All right, cut to the chase. There's so much to this stuff. But what would you have? A lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. Now, most of the people, keep in mind, most of the people who dealt with Epstein are saying, I dealt with him professionally. I really did. He was a benefactor. He was a donor to institutions of higher learning. He was a kind of a, I guess you'd call it a, kind of a science geek. You know, remember Werner Erhard? Remember Est? He would have people at his homes. Lenny Susskind, Stephen Hawking. He would promote these soirees and salons of physicists. So, you know, but that's not the story. Who's got what? And they will never get this. And you see, even the Washington Post, even the Wall Street Journal, especially, they're not going to really tell you, well, here's what this means. Here's what this means. They don't ask any questions. Where's Epstein's cellmate? Remember his story? Look at that one. He escaped the death penalty. Ex-cop, I think 4 people killed. What happened to him? How did that happen? What happened to those two jail officials at MCC, a federal holding? Federal. This is where Gotti would go and Sammy the Bull and terrorists. Whatever happened to that one? Explain that one to me, please. Anybody? Can you explain that? Where did he go? He was in the room. He was in the cell. Even roughed him up. Whatever happened to Michael Baden's testimony as far as the particular physical trauma that he stated, which refuted that of Bilbar and others. Remember that? Hyoid fracture, petechial hemorrhaging, thyroid cartilage fracture, livor mortis, the lividity signs, this deep. Remember this incredible. By the way, the hyoid bone is one of the most interesting bones. The hyoid is right underneath your mandible in the back, and it's not connected to anything. It's the only bone that's just kind of floating there. And it's used for, I think, pronunciation and different things and support. Sometimes when people are clotheslined, you can fracture it, but it's very difficult to do. Anyway, make a long story short, nobody's talking about that. So what you're doing is, and listen to me, are you listening to me carefully? Listen to what I'm telling you. Unless you want to talk about Steven Crowder, which is only good for 5 minutes, or more about Tucker Carlson. Do you see what they're doing? This is called a limited hangout. And the theory applies as follows. I give you a little bit of information, just enough, and you think, wow, you really exposed it. No, I didn't. I didn't tell you anything. I gave you information, and you thought that was great. No, it wasn't. I didn't say anything. Remember Matt Taibbi? Remember the Twitter files? Yeah. Whatever happened to that? You were under the impression that somehow that was some big expose. Weren't you? Of course you were. You believed that, didn't you? Of course you do. You think that was this big deal, like, wow, that was really something, wasn't it? Yeah, you believe that, don't you? These were files given to him by Elon Musk. Did he get to go to other? No. By the way, he's now under the bus. Weiss is gone. Anyway. So you think, wow, look at this expose about Epstein. They're not telling you anything. Nothing. Because they don't go any further. The questions I gave you, 3 or 4 questions, nobody's ever asked. Nothing. Where's the information? Where's the tapes? Why? What happened? How do you commit suicide? Do you know what happens? Do you know what happens? Let me give you an idea of something. Do you know what happens if, let's say, you are somebody who's real important to testify? Real important. Guess what happens to you in the federal system? Well, first of all, you don't go to MCC Midtown. Or downtown, actually. Nope. You're going to go on a federal airline to some place in Idaho. Some facility that may not be even, you might not even hear of it. It may not even be a facility, but they're going to keep an eye on you. And they're going to make sure if you are the slightest bit of showing any inclination, indicium of self-harm, you will wear nothing that is at all that can form ligature. It will just tear away. It'll be almost like tissue paper. Everything you touch, every cup, everything is looked at. And there are ways, special, fantastic cameras and the like, so I hear, that can detect changes in body temperature that are indicative of, something's wrong here. Not only that, there's different telemetry that they can use to check body, and not just somebody watching you. But here's the best part. Listen to me. An old friend of mine who is wise beyond years said, have you ever heard about the black art of poison? I said, what are you talking about? You know, poisons. And there was something that he always referred to. It's an old expression called noose on a bun. And what it turns out to be is there are things that I can give you. It's almost like a binary function. I give you precursors to something, liquid, solid, whatever it is. When it acts in concert with something else, maybe later, another factor, which works in concert. It's almost like a binary. Like in the old days, they used to have binary explosives. Terrorists would go into a hotel, they would pretend like they were, the plant crew or something. Anyway, they would pour this liquid around, and they thought it was water, and then somebody else comes in, puts the second part of it, and then you have real activity. So there are things that can be done that can cause all kinds of problems for people, resulting in chemicals that, when broken down, they break down into potassium substances that are normally found in the body. Maybe not even elevated, but just nothing. There's no puncture marks, nothing. Do you know one of the ways they... And Michael Baden wrote about this years ago. You know, one of the ways that they do, whenever they suspect that somebody's been using IV drug, they just put like a tourniquet, or they grab the arm and they squeeze to see if there's any blood droplets, to see, because sometimes puncture wounds don't leave a mark. Forensic pathology is a beautiful, wonderful, it's a fascinating subject. And everybody claims they love this true crime. Oh, the other day we were having dinner and these young people were saying, oh, I like true crime. Really? You do? I got a couple of true crime stories. Can I tell you? They couldn't continue with their meal after I was done with them. So they think they like it, but they really don't. Because the thing that's interesting about the beauty of forensic pathology and the like is that you got to understand what happens to the body. And sometimes it's very interesting, but it can be very, very cruel and brutal, and really not something that people want to talk about. But others have spent their lives working on it. What am I saying? What am I getting at? I'll tell you what I'm getting at. Jeffrey Epstein could have been disappeared so easily had somebody wanted to dispatch him. You'd have never known. Whatever happened to him? I don't know. Not like Ghislaine's dad, off of the side of the boat. What happened? I don't know. Nobody really knew who he was. Who is Jeffrey? Well, he was a rich guy. Oh, yeah, okay. People can't pay attention to important critical stories regarding their government. You think they're going to follow this story? Could have happened. He was coming in from Paris to Teterboro, New Jersey. Whatever happened? He never showed up. His staff, did you see him? I don't know what happened to him. Nobody's investigating this. Whatever happened to the man whose name you don't know? Remember, we have the attention span of a gnat. 3-day rule. That's it, maximum. And even the Tucker Carlson's going to be careful, because he's stretching this out to such an extent that they're going to lose interest. I'm telling you, you got to act quickly. You got to do something now. Believe me, you may think, oh, I'm Tucker Carlson for now, but don't push this. Does Jon Stewart come to mind? Jon Stewart? Bill O'Reilly was bigger than you. And now he's doing Bill O'Reilly. Oh, Bill O'Reilly, yeah. It's the same Bill O'Reilly, but now he's like, okay. You gotta be careful. So do you think anybody would have cared about somebody who was missing, whose name you didn't know? Jeffrey Epstein? Who? He's not here. Okay, gee, another missing person. Gee, that's odd. That's never happened before. No, but they didn't do that. He was dispatched via self-harm while under federal protection in a federal, kind of a jail, not really a prison, but a federal MCC here in New York. Don't you think Ghislaine Maxwell was thinking, okay, every time there was any kind of the lights flickered, is this what happens? Not one person ever said, that's odd. And Bill Barr looked you in the face and said, I'm retired. I'm going to go in and I'm going to work with some white shoe law firm. I'm going to get the corner office. I'm going to be like the Eric Holder. You think I'm going to say, wait a minute, this is fishy to me? Not one, maybe a couple. Michael Baden, forensic pathologist, to the stars. His family was suing, I think on behalf of the estate, independently. The Epstein family was suing and retained him. Nobody else said anything. Nothing. Nobody. Now, one person said, that's odd. And we live in a world where everybody's in a true crime. Yesterday, we were driving in the Yugo, a stretch, and I'm turning the transistor on, and I'm listening, and they have all these, have you heard these kids do this true crime, they sound like 12-year-old little girls. And it was like, wait a minute. You mean that he never showed up to the dentist appointment? No. What is this? We love true crime. Really? It's the number one podcast platform there is. Really? Sci-fi. Like Columbo. Who? Quincy. Who? Okay, forget it. We are immersed in true crime. We love true crime. Hey, I got a true crime story. You ready for this? It's Jeffrey Epstein. Not interested. This is where we live. This is how we live. This is what we live. We don't know what gets people's attention. They will tear apart that Steven Crowder Ring camera to the point of exhaustion. Let's go through this again. Oh, please. Let's look at this again. Let's back this up. Let's start from the beginning. Now, here's a context. We had this analyzed. You're worried about... Nobody was hurt. Yeah, but it's Steven Crowder and we don't like him. Okay, fine. It's just incredible. So we live in this world. This is the mystery of mysteries, the story of stories. This is it. The implications are bigger than anything, and yet the media talk to you about it, but nothing sticks. There's no... Why do you think that is? The stories that are available about anything. If I told you, okay, do you want to hear some great stories? Here are there's a number of things. Facts produced, facts filed, whether in court proceedings or not, and then questions asked by family members and friends. Do you want to hear how, what people have to say about the Bobby Kennedy assassination? Do you have any idea? And his own son, who now is going to cause a lot of problems for the Democrats, never brings this up? Nothing. Do you have any idea? If 10% of what's being said is correct, oh my God. Hey, any of you true crime folks? Not interested. That's a conspiracy theory. Oh, you mean you don't want me to do this? No. Oh, okay. So you don't want me to look into it? No. Okay, fine. Because I could look into it. Yeah, I know you could, but I don't want you to. All right, fair enough. Mm-hmm. See how that works? See how that works? Isn't that fascinating? Doesn't that fascinate you? It does me. It fascinates me. See, because I don't belong on this planet. I have questions I ask, like, wait a minute. I don't mean any harm by this. What about this? Shh. Now, I told you this at LionelMedia.com. It's almost like you can say whatever you want. Nobody will take offense to it because there's nothing to be... I don't curse. I'm not filthy. Nothing. I just ask questions. That's the most dangerous position you can be in. Don't ask questions. Don't go there. What are you doing? What are you doing? Don't ask questions like that. And believe me, here's the best part. Whoever is involved in the Epstein story, whether in law enforcement or administrative, or where does his property go? How much did the victims get? How many were there? How many claims were made? How many victims were there? I don't know. You know what the number one question I have is? The number one? Nobody can answer this one to me. This is the number one question. And I've told people this thing, oh, you're right about that. Because it's so obvious. Here's what I would know. Okay, we have right now a binder. Remember that binders? We have pictures. And our staff, our investigators, we have about 600, 350, whatever the number is, faces of usually men, either taken on the plane, on the island or at the apartment, doing things which one could consider might be problematic, if not criminal. And we have a picture of their face. And all of the women who have come forward, we just want you to do this. Just look kind of in the picture. If any of these people look, this person here, do these faces look familiar? Nope. Nope. No, wait a minute. That man. Don't put his name there. Who is that? Oh, I know that. Maybe I've seen him. He looks familiar. Did you see anything bad? No. Okay. Make a note of that. Keep going. Somebody's going to say, yep, that's the person that was alleged, because there were settlements in cases. Yep, that was a person who did whatever. Do you know who that is? No, I don't. Okay. Put a little check. Maybe the feds know. Maybe they don't know. Let's assume the person. And let's go a step further. Let's say somebody else goes, yep, that's that guy. Oh, you too, huh? Yeah, oh yeah. We knew all about him. How many times have you had a chance to be in position? Oh, many times. Okay. That person needs to be charged with something. Why not? Could be because maybe there was a settlement. Could be because maybe there was something else. Could be because... But that's the question I have. We have right now, out of the 250 people, we have the top 10. This person was identified by 15 girls, 20 girls, 30 girls. Whatever happened to them? No. You know what we end up with? Ghislaine Maxwell, charged with, I think, 1 count of human trafficking, a couple of counts of whatever, and my favorite, lying on a deposition. I think the only person in the history of American jurisprudence charged with that. It is a story that the true crimers would go crazy over, and nobody cares. Isn't that something? Isn't that interesting? Why do you think that is? Why doesn't anybody care? How can something of this level, theoretically involving the most powerful people in the world, how could this be allowed to occur as it does? How? Without anybody, no true crime experts, no investigator, no nothing. They'll talk. Why even talk about the Epstein case? Oh, here's somebody whose name occurred. Forget the name occurred on the ledger. Let's just, you have this fixation about his black book. Do you know he has his phone number? Everybody's got their phone number. Go deeper. You're a journalist? Yeah. Here, I'll help you with this. Oh, no. Not interested. Why do you think that is? And why do you think they don't care that you might figure out the fact that, hey, I don't think anybody's looking at this? Why do you think that they don't seem to care that you may have figured this thing out? It's the question of questions. And you can go, Fox News, you want to talk about? No. You sure? Not interested in that. You sure now? No, absolutely not. Rupert Murdoch's going to go deep into this? Come on. Are you kidding? You got half of Hollywood in the top. No. They don't need any problem. See what happens? See how spooked Fox News is? No. Let's just put on Joe Concha to make those corny jokes, and that's as close as we're going to get. What about you, MSNBC? Oh, come on. CNN? Anybody? Does anybody follow up with this? Nope. Nobody. But don't feel bad. It's the same way with everybody. What about the guy who was the roommate with the cop with the murder? No. Really? Nothing? Nothing. Not interested. Okay. It's this pretend world of, hey, we're doing something. Can you tell me why Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein is still in office? Anybody? What's the rule regarding people who was that fellow? What was his name? Was it Mundt? What was the senator? 3 years. Let me see. What was his name? Oh, yes. Karl Mundt. He was a, senator. Yep, he had a stroke. Out for 3 years. Did you hear what I said? 3 years. And Dianne Feinstein, Joe Biden when he had his aneurysm problem, he was out for a while. How does this work? Here we go. Chaotic Anarchy X. Let me see this satanic ritual. Let us see this. Let's see what the latest with this. And by the way, thank you very much. That's for you, by the way. Hand crepitation to you. Let me see this. Ooh, this is a very interesting case. Let's see what the latest news is on this one. I don't know. I'm gonna look into this one more. I find the notion of this, whenever you hear satanic or whatever, I do not know. I'm going to look into this. By the way, let me ask you something. When it comes to satanic, may I ask you this question? Would you tell me how to get around the fact that when people hear anybody claim that, they go, up? It sounds crazy, doesn't it? Do you believe there is this world today there is this thing called Satanism in general? There was a case recently of this Baphomet case. Did you hear about that one? Did you hear that? There was a movie called Hail Satan. It was a documentary. Remember that? And people went berserk over it. Is that illegal? Is it real? Is it something to worry about? I think it'd be if your child was involved in some kind of satanic group or not. What do we know about that? What do we even know about it? We don't know about that. What is the official Catholic Church position on exorcisms and the devil and the like? We have different variations of this. Again, there are some areas I'm more familiar with than others. I do have a kind of a passing interest in anything involving the notion of anything that is alleged to be satanic. I know that years ago, my friend Maury Terry, who wrote the book about Son of Sam, said that was a huge overtone, a huge part of this. Anyway, but don't expect anything to go. Remember something. You have a limited audience viewing time limit. You have a group of people who don't really care about this. And if you do, you've got to be salacious to the point where you've almost got to be mocking. Is it against the law? Is Satanism against the law? No. Is communism against the law? Can you be a communist? Is the Communist Party legal? You'd be surprised how many people say, oh, no, it's illegal. Well, of course. Do you think there is anything really to this? Does it exist today, or is it one of those things that is there just to refer to? The other day I heard something. We were at an event and somebody said the fact that this country is going to become communist. I said, no, it's not. It could be a lot of things, but it's not going to be communist because the word communism is thrown about as an insult. Satanic. It's the satanic references, the satanic influences in Hollywood. These are satanic. What they're doing to our children is demonic and satanic and is Luciferian. Do you mean that? Well, no. It's an expression. Communist, socialist, Marxist, Leninist, Marxian. Remember, though, is that going to get anybody's attention? Where is Samuel Bankman-Fried? Whatever happened to him? SBX? Whatever happened with that? Is that going to go away one day? Is that going to go away? Who keeps track of this? Who has this? I told you about this before, and I explained this to you. If I have a TV show, I would have a woman named Madge or Midge or something. And she'd wear a muumuu and a house dress. And she'd slide in to the set, a dry erase board, kind of one of these things on wheels, with these little Post-it notes. And today we say, Samuel Bankman-Fried and the date. Put that up there. Today is, what's the what's the bank that's First Republic Bank. Bank collapse. Put that up there. Put that up there. And then I come back a week later, a day later. Whatever happened to that? When was the last time we heard about that? I don't know. News just goes to die. It just dies. It doesn't. There's no. They have a headline. I'm not. There's nothing there. I read this Epstein story. There's nothing there. It's like, okay. Do you want to go further? No. No. I want to pretend that this is thorough enough. Ladies and gentlemen, Bengt Iverson. Thank you, Bengt. Look at this. He has I don't even know what that is. Look at that. That's an emoji of a hippopotamus on a swivel chair. And I thank you, Bengt Iverson. In the words. Thank you, Bengt. It's for you. What is that? Is that a... It's nice. It's kind of like a physics. You ever go in... Remember the old days you would get in a chair, you'll pull your arms in like that, you'd spin around. Thank you for that. So we'll see what happens. SatanCon 2023 Boston. That's good. I am fascinated by the idea of I'm fascinated by people who believe in this stuff. I am fascinated by this because, let me ask you a question. Do you believe that there is the physical embodiment, Bengt? Do you believe that there is the physical embodiment of evil in a person, in an entity called Satan or whatever it is? Do you believe that? Evil in the body of one person, and were it not for that person, that thing, that entity, that structure, we would not have evil. Does that make sense to you? Do you believe that? Do you believe that? That that's where it comes from. That evil, even in places around the world that have had evil since the beginning of time, people doing stuff that's evil, and sometimes evil can be debatable. I've loved to. Nobody wants to discuss this. We had a notion the other. We were just discussing the Exorcist, just that the other day. It's fascinating. Is there this thing? Is there possession? Are there exorcists? Are there priests? Can you call up the local parish? Can you get one? How do you know what they look like? Well, he's making all kinds of noises. Is he crazy? I don't think so. How do you know he's not crazy? Well, he's just saying some stuff. You mean like crazy people do? Well, maybe crazy. How do you know he's possessed with the devil? You know. What do you mean, you know? Have you ever seen serious psychotic reaction? Well, I don't know. And why do they always speak in tongues? Glossolalia. What is that about? You know, if I were the devil, I would be very cool. I would say, you're making a big mistake. First of all, you always possess a little girl. What are you doing? What good is that? Possess a leader of a country. Oh, you already have? Okay. And tone it down. Why are you saying, why? Because it's a better story that way. Okay. I never understood this. Remember The Exorcist? Peter Blatty, the story was a great movie. It was wonderful. Tubular bells and fantastic. It never made sense to me. And the question, you walk in, it's cold. I would say, excuse me, yeah, where's the devil? You pick her? And what if we said, you know what? Forget it. We're moving. You can have her. We don't care. What are you going to do? Abandon her. Take her. Let's say right now she's in a mental or in a jail, and we just walk away. What happens? This is how you expose. This is how you show yourself? By terrorizing some little girl that doesn't do any harm? No, I don't understand. See, don't ask people. Say, don't ask questions. All my life I ask questions, and people say, don't ask the questions. I remember Catholic school, Noah's Ark. Where did the penguins come from? The polar bears. Would you please be quiet? What are you asking questions for? Because I don't want to ask. I don't know. I don't know. don't ask questions. Why not? Because that's rude. Why is it being rude? We just don't ask questions. I'm not like that. Things have to kind of make sense to me. A little bit. A little bit. And if it doesn't make sense, I stick to that. Call me wacky. All right, my friends. Have you signed up for Mrs. L's YouTube channel, Lynn's Warriors? It is absolutely necessary. Follow her on Twitter at Lynn's Warriors, LYNNS_Warriors. And follow me as well on this is YouTube. Subscribe. Better like this. You better like this. And to Bengt Iverson, Bengt, on behalf of a grateful nation, I thank you not for what you do, but for what you appear to do. And Chaotic Anarchy X, thank you excellently for your incredible insight and your proportionate wisdom. All right, my friends, we'll see you again tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, 8 a.m. Eastern time. Until then, remember this valedictory, this sign-off, this sayonara and adios. The monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.